Hi, I'm Roger Kimmelstein. You may remember me from juxtabranchial organ secretions in the higher mollusks, or Blood on the Highway. Today I'm here to talk to you about teaching with love and logic. We're going to look at the old ways of teaching. We're also going to look at this new method of the 4 principles: enhancement of self-concept, shared control, consequences with empathy, shared thinking. Your classroom is not Guantanamo. It should not be a power struggle. You should not be having anarchy in your class. However, some of you may feel that you're ineffectual, that anarchy reigns. Here, we're trying to help you to put the joy back into your teaching. We're going to look at 4 vignettes dealing with the 4 principles, and hopefully you will be able to take something out of this into your classroom and bring a safe, caring, nurturing environment for not only your children, but also for yourself as well. Let's listen in. Schools, parents, and teachers are often full of empty phrases like, "You should know better. Why didn't you think before you did that?" We're going to look at a vignette here where the old way is for the teacher to berate the student. You never looked at your money? How was that possible? You pull it out of your wallet? Come on now. Do you know anything about Andrew Jackson at all?
Nope.
You know he was president, right?
Sure.
Right. Any idea what he did at all?
He was president. Duh. You just said that.
You don't like history, do you? Never really seem to pay attention in this class. You have a problem with history?
It's old.
Well, I'm a history teacher. Are you saying I'm old? So you're telling me that my study is worthless?
I'm not answering.
Well, you're not answering anything, so perhaps you'll be history soon. Now let's look at the teaching with love and logic way. Enhancement of self-concept. This is where the teacher works with the student to not necessarily praise the student, but to encourage the student, to make the student feel a little bit better about him or herself, the classroom, their interests, their wants, their desires, and not to break them down, but to at least establish something of a rapport to where the student feels cared for and supported. Let's listen in. Boring? I mean, I can understand if you do think that way. I mean, you're not alone. I'm a history teacher. I went through years and years of schooling to learn this, but it did take me a little bit of time to change my attitude. Now, I understand from Miss Gerst that you do real well in science, that you seem to have a knack for science. Is that true? I mean, you like science?
I love science.
I would like to have gone into science, but history was the way I went. So, something to know about science, though, is that science really is based on history. You do have to understand where science has come from before you can understand what you're doing now and where it's going. So knowing about how Edison made the light bulb and the things that he stumbled over to actually get a light bulb to really work can help you if you start working in, let's say, laser physics. Just knowing about the vacuum or the lack of the vacuum or the voltage. Knowing some of that helps you. I mean, that way you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you want to work on an experiment. History is kind of the same thing. We're looking at it so that we don't make mistakes in the future. Although we do, that's part of why we learn history. Now, if you're not a history person, I get it. I'm not expecting you to learn every single fact, but just knowing your history. You want to try and maybe give that a try a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, cool. And what I'll try and do is I'll try and throw in a little bit of science in there, some science history for you. So that way, some of your interest is also in the subject that we're studying. Kind of perk you up a little bit.
Okay.
All right,
I
cool.
never
We'll
thought
try
of it
that.
that way.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Remember when the teacher controlled everything in the classroom? The teacher made the rules and enforced the rules, and the students had no say in the matter? Let's see how that works.
Maybe you'd do better if you came over here and sat next to me. Would you be able to focus better?
What would that do for me for doing my homework?
It would allow the other people in the class to do that.
No, I don't want to move.
Then I guess I'll see you after school for detention.
Love and logic has a different approach. It's called shared control. Give the kids some responsibility. Give them a chance to make choices, within the teacher's boundaries, of course. Sharing control doesn't mean losing control. It just means that students are more likely to buy into something that they have had a say in. Let's check it out.
Sarah, I think Julie's busy working. We're supposed to be working on our homework assignment right now.
We don't want to work right now.
I know, we all have those days. Everybody has them occasionally. But remember our classroom rules. We voted on at the beginning of class. Okay. I need you to let her get her work done. Sarah, are you not able to do this? Do we need to have you go to take a time out or sit next to me?
I don't want to let you stay here.
You think you can behave? Okay. Thank you.
All of us remember teachers who were punishment teachers. They were authoritarian, some were tyrannical. They gave punishments without rhyme or reason. We never had a chance to argue. We never had any say in what happened to us. Let's look at the old way, and then we'll look at the love and logic way.
Excuse me, sir. I'll be taking this from you.
What?
You're making me sick.
What?
Where are your standards? Do you know
What are
this
you
is
talking
academic
about?
dishonesty? Well, you've received a 0 for this quiz. I hope everyone else will take notes. And for your actions, I'm going to have to refer you to the principal. I hope you learned your lesson here.
This is crap. As we've seen, that's a pretty harsh authoritarian way of treating cheating or any kind of a discipline problem. Kids are kids. So what we're going to try and do is work on the love and logic way of dealing with consequences with empathy. How can the teacher work with consequences with the student so that it comes out to be an equitable sharing of a lesson learned and contentment in the classroom? Let's listen in.
Okay, class, we're about to have a quiz. I hope everyone's prepared well, so if you would please clear off your desk except for a pen and pencil. Do you mind coming and talking to me after class? Thanks.
What do you want to see me about?
Well, do you remember the discussion we had at the beginning of the year with the whole class about the academic honesty policy?
Yeah, so?
So, you're not really sure why I want to talk to you right now?
No.
No? Well, I saw you possibly helping yourself to some answers on another student's paper.
No, I was just uncomfortable because I wasn't really prepared for this.
Oh, okay, well, this is what I saw, and I'm going to take the actions that I see fit for what I've seen. And you know, it's very unfortunate to have to receive a 0 on a quiz or any major grade.
I can't play ball if I get a 0.
Do you have any suggestions of what you might like to do? A way to solve the problem?
I don't know, maybe get an A on next week's quiz or do some extra credit work.
Extra credit?
Is that possible?
You know, I'll think about it. Till then, I'd like for you to think up some different ways that you'd like to go about solving the problem that would be mutually beneficial to both of us. And I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. How does that sound?
Okay, I'll think about it tonight.
All right, great.
I'll follow some.
Great, thanks. It's a pretty big game coming up this weekend. Thought of any way to get rid of that 0?
Yeah, I got a couple ideas.
Well, let me hear them.
Well, what I was thinking was maybe you could give me another copy of the quiz, and I can only get half credit, right, or partial credit, or whatever you want to give me, as long as it's not a 0. And maybe what I could do is have to get an A on Friday's quiz to make that grade, you know, stick. And I'll sit up front, so I won't be tempted anymore.
Great, I don't think that'll be necessary. Does that sound acceptable to you?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
That sounds great to me. Yeah, put it there.
Thanks, I
Good
appreciate
luck
it.
on the game.
Thank you. As we talked about earlier with some of the other principles like shared control, where there's a certain authoritarianism that goes on in the classroom, the teacher offers a punishment, the punishment is irrevocable, The student is sent away, the student suffers consequences, there's no discussion, it's just immediate like a bombshell. Let's take a look at a particular situation under the old way, and then we'll look at the teaching with love and logic way. Tariff of 1824, tariff of 1827, tariff of 1828. Hey, can you pay attention, please? Come on. Okay, so let's talk about the tariff of the abominations, all right? South Carolina exposition and protest, nullification of state interposition. You know, Donald,
Sir,
is it necessary for you to talk in class?
trying to find
You
somebody
have been talking constantly, and I'm sick of it. Why don't you pack up your stuff, go to in-school suspension. I'll send another one later on.
I hate this class anyway. I'll
Yeah.
see you later.
I'm sure you do, but you can contemplate your hatred in ISS. Go on. Now let's take a look at shared thinking the love and logic way. The teacher is going to deal with Donald on a basis where consequences are known, consequences are imminent, but it is up to the student to internalize his own behavior and make the choice on whether to deal with the consequences or stick with the lesson and stay in class. Let's listen in. We have Robert Barnwell Rhett, and then we come back to
Anybody to go with yet.
Oy vey, Donald. Oy vey. What was our deal?
Deal that if I can stay in class and not talk, will not send me to in-school suspension.
Correct. Where do you think we are at this particular point right now?
Probably going to in-school suspension pretty soon.
How long do you think it could take you to settle down, focus, and come back to class?
I don't know how I'm feeling today.
Okay? I'll tell you what. Take out to in-school suspension, take out to ISS. When you feel ready to come back, come on back. I'll send a note to make sure that they know that you can come back when you're ready. But if you feel like you need to stay there, that's a choice you need to make. You cool with that?
Sure.
Off with it. Hi, Roderick here again. Now that you've seen some of the old ways and the new ways, learning teaching with love and logic, it's not so much a system as it is an incorporation of these principles into a way of dealing with your children and your classroom, of sharing your control, sharing the thinking with your students, encouraging the students, supporting them, having a caring, loving environment, just simply being a human being with them and not an autocrat. So what I'd like to do is invite you to try the teaching with love and logic, apply it in your classroom, and hopefully you can take back your classroom, take back your own emotions, put the joy back into your teaching, and hopefully, just hopefully, your career as a teacher will be much, much more satisfying.